First of all, I'll just introduce myself. Tim Davis, I'm the editor of the Calgary Eye Opener. If you want to read about the Calgary Eye Opener, just go to www.calgaryeyeopener.com. That address is listed on the poster for this event right over there. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this issue, or how familiar you are. I see some people who are members of Arrest who are very familiar with it. Anyway, just to summarize it, Victoria was founded in 1843, and immediately they started discharging sewage and groundwater into the ocean. And today that's looked upon as a no-no. But in any event, we continue to do it. And correct me if I'm wrong on these numbers. Today, our outflow, our sewage outflow, goes out from Clover Point a kilometer into the strait, down 500 meters, and is dispersed there into pretty strong currents. Nevertheless, about 8 years ago, the Georgia Strait Alliance and other environmentalists seized upon the fact, what they considered the fact, that this was a very detrimental system, and it was injurious, among other things, to the reputation of the city. So they formed action group, public relations action group, which they centered around, am I in your way there?
Oh, okay. Can't see me over my notes.
Around Mr. Floaty. And you people may or may not be aware of Mr. Floaty. He was what I call a merda ambula. He walked about the streets of Victoria, and he spoke for himself, so to speak. Now, I originally thought that Mr. Floaty was Steve. Steve was involved. No pun intended. Steve originally was involved in that campaign because he believed in it. And he was quite active in its management, as I understand. No, you were.
I'm involved with the Earthwalk Committee, which holds an annual event. When he was he was in a group that came to that event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear? Yep. In any event, the committee was successful in that it wasn't long before the NDP were aboard, and soon after, Gordon Campbell, for whatever reason, in part because it sounded good, jumped aboard. And I guess once he's aboard, he's not going to desert the ship. Any event, we then have the NDP, the main opposition party in BC, and the government in support of it. However, about that same time, a committee of ocean scientists and engineers saw that or at least say they saw, I'm not taking sides, that the science behind Mr. Floaty was flawed. and formed a group and have endeavored to change the mind of the government, but they haven't been totally successful in that the Liberal Party apparently and the NDP are still in favor of it. Although that might change, I don't know. And as far as the aldermanic campaign or the mayoralty campaign goes, there's 3 serious candidates. 2 of them, Steve and Paul Brown, are against the building of a land-based sewage treatment plant to, in quotation marks, remedy the problem. They say it's totally unnecessary. It's going to cost probably about $1 billion. And for every household in Victoria, that means up to $1,000. Now, the other candidate, Mayor Fortin, was asked to join in this discussion, and it took him 5 days to decide that he wasn't available. And nevertheless, he didn't show up. I also invited Carol James, the MLA for Victoria, and Denise, I'm as bad as Savoie. Here now, Savoie said she was in Ottawa, which I believe is correct. Carol James was unavailable anyway. So first of all, what I'd like to do here is get the 2 candidates to spend a little time telling us their attitude towards this land-based sewage treatment plant, which hasn't been built. The only money that's been spent on it is $25 million on a study. So you're starting to get into the magnitude of this thing. So I'm going to start alphabetically with Paul.
Okay. Well, I mean, Tim, you've already stated where my position is on it. I guess more my rationale in terms of why I don't think it makes sense. First and foremost, when you look at the technology today in terms of whether it be tertiary or secondary treatment, what it's trying to simulate is exactly what we've got off Clover Point. The engineering is, as they say, trying to simulate that. So why are we going to spend a whole bunch of money trying to simulate what we've already got? At some point it might be necessary, but when you look at all of the scientific evidence right now, there certainly is not conclusive proof. In fact, I would say there's more conclusive proof there's not a problem. The scientific evidence that comes forward that is trying to persuade us to go forward with land-based sewage treatment is very speculative, is very selective in ways. We've been monitoring what goes out on Clover Point for years. University of Victoria was first given that responsibility. The CRD's been doing it, and none of those reports demonstrate that there is a problem out there. In fact, if anything, what they demonstrate is it's as good as any technology that we've got in terms of treating sewage. So I just can't accept the need for it. Why are they doing it is one of the tough reasons, because, you know, when you look at government these days, they don't have a lot of money. And maybe the saving grace right now is both the feds and the province are broke, and we may not see the money for it. But still, why are they doing it? Well, the argument that the incumbent typically brings up is, you know, we're the only municipality in Canada that is just dumping its sewage into the ocean. Well, to me, that's more an aesthetic issue than anything else. I mean, when I think of, and I listen to the incumbent talking that way, I think, yeah, that's awful. But when you step back and think about it, yeah, it's awful. It really, you know, there's no scientific evidence to dispute, you know, why we're doing it. It's sort of like when someone asks me today about, you know, should we have safe injection sites? I don't like it. I don't want it. But you know what? The evidence shows that it's making a difference. We got to be compassionate with people. These are real people. The Supreme Court has ruled for it. And you know what? It saves money as well. So, you know, I'm for safe injection sites, but the same logic I use for sewage treatment doesn't justify doing sewage treatment. It's just for optics from my standpoint, anything else. There's some other reasons I'm against what they're proposing. Even if we could substantiate ground-based sewage treatment, and before I go on, where we should put the money is into our sewer system. It's going to have a lot greater impact in terms of reducing what we're putting out there by getting the sewer system fixed. I mean, right now I'm told we have a 50% infiltration rate within the sanitary sewer system, and a lot of those sanitary sewer systems are leaking into the storm drains. So if we go out and treat the sewage, we're going to be treating twice as much as what we really need to be treating because of the infiltration rate, and a lot of it's going to be continuing to get out there anyways. But anyways, let me go on. If we are to go with ground-based sewage treatment, and we may have to down the road, probably not in our lifetimes, but at some point it may get to that point, I would argue against a sewage treatment plant at the mouth of the Victoria Harbour. I mean, we've got 3 gems in the city of Victoria. We've got Old Town, we've got Beacon Hill Park, and we've got the Victoria Harbour. We're putting a sewage treatment plant at the end of it. We're building a mega yacht marina, and I can go on and on. It is being developed in a hodgepodge way. We would never do this to Beacon Hill Park. We would never allow Old Town to be developed in this way. We got to stop that. I'm just about finished, Steve.
Good. You're going good.
Okay. If again we were going with ground-based sewage treatment, I would say that we're better off to go with a number of smaller plants rather than one large plant, and that we spread the technology around. We don't go with the same technology for each one, because the argument is, how many of us went out and bought a Beta and ended up VHS? I mean, let's not put all our marbles in the same basket. The incumbent argues it's less costly to go with the bigger